It took me about a couple minutes to process actually what happened. It's like in movies, I didn't feel the round enter my body. I heard the shot, grabbed the weapon, started scanning the perimeter because I was with the SF guys outside the ambulance area. And then like 5 minutes in, I started feeling my right foot kind of going numb on me. So I looked down, I just saw a spool of blood just kind of pouring out of the top of my boot. So I grabbed my tourniquet, applied it high and tight like I was trained for many years. And I had a civilian doctor shove a gauze and like put gauze on his finger and shove it to fill in the hole. Probably like a man.
Freak accidents can happen at any given time, but how you respond to them and how prepared you are makes all the difference. In this story, we are going to go from the actual incident all the way to the medboard process and everything in between. Watch me clean up his leaves, but stay for his story.
I'm Alexei Kahara, originally born from Russia, came to the United States in 2004, got adopted by Americans, joined the military in 2011. I started getting medboarded in October, and medboard is the military found me physically unfit due to my ankle surgeries and my back problem. So after kind of fighting the system for about a couple of years, I had to bite the bullet and kind of start transitioning.
So why are you getting medboarded?
I'm getting medboarded due to a 6-year long issue of originally getting a gunshot injury on my second tour in Afghanistan. Sadly, not due to enemy fire, but I badly maintained the weapon that I was carrying. So I went off when the weapon was unsafe. We're not supposed to. So I wasn't even holding the weapon in my hand. I bumped the buttstock that's on my headset, and 5.56 just went in straight to my foot. That was like one of the most like unsurreal events where it took me about a couple minutes to process actually what happened. It's like in movies, I didn't feel the round enter my body. I heard the shot, grabbed the weapon, started scanning the perimeter because I was with the SF guys outside the ambulance area. And then like 5 minutes in, I started feeling my right foot kind of going numb on me. So I looked down, I just saw a spool of blood just kind of pouring out of the top of my boot. So I grabbed my tourniquet, applied it high and tight like I was trained for many years. And I had a civilian doctor shove a gauze and like put gauze on his finger and shove it to fill in the hole. Probably like a man.
Yeah.
That hurt.
Yeah. So you said you're in Afghanistan. Like, what led up to that event in general?
Oh, there's two different stories to that, I guess.
Okay.
I guess like my story or what the reports say.
Both.
Both. So originally, it's one of those things like in the military, we train to react. Sometimes we get short notice information. Like that mission, I was supposed to be a 24-hour op. Go there to help out my aircraft, fuel, rearm, downarm. Ended up the moment I flew in there, landed. Now it's going to be 3 days. So wasn't too worried about it because I have my 72-hour bag, always prepared, ready to go. 2 days in, I'm there for 2 weeks, working 24-hour ops by myself.
Why would you be by yourself?
Because there was a miscommunication going on where I presented the information to the lieutenant who was in charge of me and two of my Romeos. They're supposed to only just kind of help out with the base because it was just got taken over by us because the Afghani troops kind of left it. So we were supposed to go there to kind of be a center point for the Apaches. So go there, help them refuel, do like a quick FARP operation. Ended up me staying there for 2 straight weeks, wearing the same pair of underwear and t-shirt. Yeah, I had a 72-hour bag on me, and that's all I lived off.
So did you flip the underwear inside out, back and forth?
Nah, I just baby wiped every day, just more than normal. I ended up because we tried to sleep in the abandoned base because it was taken over by us, but we had no running water. We had some power electricals, so no, we had to poop in the bags, burn them. By the time the aircraft came in, they just trying to get the fuelers out there was too slow, so we ended up actually sleeping with the makeshift little tent we made on the flight line because we had to watch their munitions because we had a lot of native Afghanis who come approach us. They'll look at the munitions, and there's other things that went on that I can't really discuss that we had to participate in. But it was fun.
I don't understand. What's the connection between you? Like, what was the mission? Well, I guess why did they need a 15 Yankee to even go to this place?
They needed a 15 Yankee to be at that location due to when we operate from big major farts or like bases, we can't fully position our aircrafts within a maintenance facility. So it means the aircraft has to go somewhere, but have enough fuel to come back for any major repairs. So if we do a mission like 3 hours away, we have to create a midpoint a station for them for refuel, rearming. So that's what I was doing. I was at the midpoint station. So they come to me, we'll top them off, and we'll watch them literally go to the village next to us, and they'll give them hell.
Huh.
And then they'll come back, refuel, and they go back to the main base that night.
Interesting.
So I was supposed to be, 1 day up, 2 straight weeks of me literally being sleep deprived.
Who do you think failed you at that point in time? Because that doesn't sound like something that should have happened.
Personally, I think it kind of went on the person who was in charge, because I requested assistance. Kind of let them know, hey, I'm the only one here from MOS to do my job. Can we get some support to help me out? Because I'm only sleeping when I can. Because I know when the aircrafts come in, I don't have a schedule. I have to be 180, so that's why I slept on flatline. Mm-hmm. So the blades, the wind from the blades are waking me up when they're approaching. But we never really heard anything back from the guy who was in charge of us. I don't remember his name, but when after my incident happened, I went back to Kandahar. It was I've discovered that there was kind of loss of communication between us and our main entity. So to me, it seemed like somebody wasn't reporting what needs to be reported.
Yeah, that sounds like it could have been really bad for everybody that was out there.
And my report stated that my incident caused due to lack of sleep. I guess that I was not found at fault at all for the discharge of my weapon, because I wasn't holding it. So they blamed it on the fatigue of the mission I was doing.
I'm going to back it up a little bit. So you're out there, you get into a mission, you're the only Yankee, you're going to, a forward operation little place, do whatever mission. It was supposed to be a couple days. It ended up being 2 weeks.
Yep.
Then where do you get shot at? Where does that come into play?
So the end of my 2 weeks. So the reason I say I was there for 2 weeks, because that's all it only took before I got hurt. Okay. So that operation was actually existed after I left. I had somebody to replace me, finally. But 2 weeks in, I kind of grabbed my fish hair just a little bit, because, we're kind of blending in. Aircraft comes in, did my normal, hooking up, make sure we had the fuelers ready. Brought on my headset. My weapon was attached to my C-clip on my IOTV. And all I did is just bump it with my elbow.
And you were on an aircraft, hopping off aircraft?
So I was actually next to it. So I was on the ground, hooking up to the wings with our communication cable.
I got you.
So I was not on it at all. No, there's a lot of stories, like 2 hours later, emerged from this event, different variations of it. I jumped off the aircraft, the weapon was fully in auto. So a lot of quick stories. Gossip spreads real quick. But no, I just walked to the aircraft and just plugged in my headset. And the moment I put on my headgear on, my elbow bumped that buttstock, the round went off.
So it went off and it hit your foot.
It hit my foot and ended up not going through and through, really. So the armor piercing tip went through, but the full 5.56 actually spirally shattered in my foot. So it stayed. They shattered my third metatarsal bone. I lost function of multiple toes. Like, I have nerve damage.
You got shot. You started feeling all kind of weirdness, right? And what happened right after that?
I got medevac that night to Kandahar, our main base of operations, because we had to do emergency repairs, because I had a lot of avoiding infection due to having a round in my foot that was shattered. The goal was that I will get the surgeries and hopefully I'll help out some kind of way instead of leaving the tour. I wanted to be at least do like the admin work. But I felt guilt. Like, even though I didn't press the trigger, it felt shitty when I was the only leader for my MOS and now I'm leaving my troops behind. So we try to make a little plan where I get the surgeries, I come back, at least help out on the main base with some admin stuff, still be useful. Sadly, I had to get 3 different procedures, so the Army had to ship me to Longitude, Germany to get them done. Still with the original mission and goal that I was going to come back. That didn't happen. I was there for 2 weeks just for the doctor not to feel comfortable doing my surgeries. So he had to send me back to the States to get them done.
Oh, damn.
Go back to the States, 4 months in the Wounded Warrior program. One of the best programs I think I've ever been into. Kind of helps us, especially with mentally. Kind of go through some ordeals. We get time to heal. But I had a 4 month like a loop around chase of even my surgeon then wasn't comfortable doing my surgeries.
Why were they not comfortable?
They weren't comfortable that apparently when it comes to feet, because you have so many small bones to move and function together, that when you start causing like even repair surgeries to them, there'll be scar tissues that you're going to start losing actual function of certain regions of your foot.
And
So
you need your feet to move.
yeah, so like no, me having I had to get a third metatarsal replacement. I had to replace the whole center bone of my foot. I had to get 3 cadaver tennis replacements, a metal joint on one of my toes. For me, that was like, hey man, if I did all these procedures, you might not run again because the way you'll heal, there's a chance that complications, and you might not run. So we end up actually training myself with the injury I had, and just kind of do it without surgeries for 5 years. But the problem I had with that is that when I overtrained, I still did the competitions. I was able to take about 2 years where I participated in it's like the Winter Warrior Olympics for the Army, where we did compete with other countries. I ended up going back to full running status where I ran 10, 14 miles for 40 pounds on. But I think the prize was kind of got me in the end because I overtrained myself with the injuries I had. So by running so much, competing so much, I ended up tearing a lot of my ligaments in my ankle because I had nerve damage, so I didn't really feel the tearing. Until I just doing the NCR of the Year competition at Fort Eustis, 2019. I ended up doing the Rock March. Our second day, I was like a top 2 candidates for the first day. The Rock March, I rolled my ankle one more time, and that like killed me. I ended up being stubborn, dragging myself. Was about 4 miles, kind of like dragging, still trying to pull the weight. I was able to pretty much take my foot, and I was able to twist it like this, my ankle.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, well, I ended up having a surgeon do a procedure on me. It's called the Brunstrom, where they have to repair all your ligaments. So they replace them with wires. But the problem I had with that is that I had a good recovery for the most part. And this is where we kind of still go up against kind of regulations. The Army will kind of hinder the soldiers where the recovery time was what the surgeon wanted. We couldn't approve it. So I ended up going back to work earlier than expected because we had to follow the rules. So my foot wasn't fully healed yet at the time. I ended up catching a staph infection.
Oh, man.
That if I actually didn't go to the emergency room, technically it could have died. But thank God my wife was a physical therapist. I looked at my ankle randomly that morning because I was about to get an Uber ride or get my coworker to take me to work because my ankle was swollen. I was feeling so much pain for a week. But I was trying to play it off. Maybe I just overdid it. Now, she looked at that ankle, called my surgeon, and he just told me to go to the emergency room right away. To find out it was like a very fast cellulitis staph infection. If I didn't go, if I waited a day or two, it could have gone septic.
Interesting.
So I got that fixed. Recovery again. Caught a second infection.
Damn.
So now I'm slowly pushing the boundary of how many times you can be on a profile in the military. So the med board's already creeping already behind me. But due to me being always in surgeries, they have to give me 6 weeks window of recovery time. So that's how I kept avoiding med board for a while. Finally was able to start physical therapy. 7 months after my first surgery. End up ripping one of my anchors out of my ankle doing physical therapy. And a month later, had to redo the whole surgery. Recovered for 2 more months. So I've been on profile for over a year at this point. And that's when the Army, they tried to help me out, try to keep me in the best as they could. But I've used all my luck. I reached out to so many of my profiles that they had to kind of call it.
So a med board, what exactly is that?
It's a medical discharge from the military. You can be separated medically or retired medically. So separation means, your injuries, it's not bad. At this time, we can't keep you. But if you heal on your own, you can always come back into the service. So they give you a severance pay. And that one's it's a kind of loan up front to help you out get started in your life. Then you pay back slowly. Or if you get medical retirement, where even though you haven't done 20 years, your injury is so bad that you can't be retained or ever rejoin again to the service. So the military takes the responsibility for that and they retire you.
I got you. And you are basically finishing up your med board process now. Yeah. How was that experience?
Stressful. Honestly, that was I've heard rumors for years of how med board can be the timelines can be a little vary. It's very stressful. Sometimes you might have to fight for things. And that's what kind of ended up happening with me. Usually, med board takes about 6 months to transition. But that's if you accept everything they find. And in my case, the military wanted to just separate me only. They want to give me 20% because they just took the information from the VA, who my examiner disregarded half my evidence I had in my case. So that was stressful, felt like somebody wasn't taking you seriously, that you're making up all your injuries. But was able to fight that, was able to prove it to the Army, like, hey, this is bad. My surgeon has wrote me letters on my behalf, my physical therapist. And that's before I even found out about my back problem. So this is just for the ankle at the time. So you end up actually recognizing it's like, yep, you won't be able to continue. So that extends you by another, 6 months, because then you find out the VA. And as you're doing all this, you're trying to kind of plan your next steps in life, like finding a job, kind of figure out how you're going to financially going to be doing things. And that's what's getting stressful is that I did all the right classes. But you find out, like, if you're ETSing, moving regularly from the military, you can do all this within a year. So you can do skill bridge, you can find jobs. But for a while, I was getting like a loop around where I can't do this, I can't do that because I don't have an out date. Because when you're med board, the only time you're going to have an out date is 10 days prior when they give you actual orders. Like, yep, today's to clear, this is your out date. So I had none of that. So when I tried to apply for jobs, people wanted me, but they can't hire me because they don't know when I'm actually going to be out. So it kind of made it a little stressful. So I had a good opportunity lined up for me. But due to the med board, I lost the opportunity now. They waited for me for 2 extra months on the listing, but they had to hire somebody at one point.
Yeah, the business has to make
Business
money.
has to move on. So now I'm still in a search.
I got you.
I was notified that I could still do skill bridge at med board, but sadly, when you try to do skill bridge with the timing, it's just not the best when you're med boarding.
So, what advice would you give somebody else that's going through a med board process right now?
I would say do your own research. This is where I went wrong. At the time I didn't know because I listened to people who'd been out, who dealt with the VA. I kind of try and do what they told me. Because you try and help each other out. If you find out the system has changed, the game is different. So and that's what kind of, I came in with my evaluations very well presented myself, prepared. I was honest. I filed every honest claim. I had beautiful efforts behind it. But because I showed myself that I was presented very well, the doctor thought I was making up half my things.
He thought that you're making up half your
Yep,
things?
half of my results were literally no evidence or no diagnosis, even though I literally had evidence and diagnosis in the files. So at least this is just my view is that I felt like the way I present myself, I don't think he actually dug into my medical evidence. And if you have somebody who looks good, who presents himself well, it tells you this is broken, this hurts real bad, but yet you look fine. So it's like natural, you judge naturally. So sadly, I had like a really bad representative who did my case. So I had to file like a VA letter with them, like, hey, this wasn't right. We stuck to the points. Like, we present all this evidence that was not utilized properly. So now I'm battling my ratings because like I'd rather get 30% honest ratings. Honestly, that's what you think of my evidence and it's what you feel, instead of getting BS ratings just because you want A, help me out, or B, you don't want to dig into my case because you think I'm actually got hurt.
Interesting. I feel like that probably happens a lot
It happens a lot.
to different people.
I find out like your whole kind of VA future kind of relies on the person who does your evaluations.
Like the doctor
Yeah,
itself?
the doctor, and your whole case kind of relies on the examiner, sadly, who's not specialized. Well, at least perks of kind of going through VA, it can be hectic, I've learned, but there's still programs in place that will help you out. So you just have to kind of keep fighting, keep doing the right thing, keep getting recorded. So that's the kind of, I look back at my career now, and that's one thing I wish I didn't listen to is, we're focused on not going to doctors, not looking weak, because that can affect our possible promotions. But the reality is, if you're not fit, you're not going to be picked. Like, it's unspoken rule pretty much. Like, you have to be good at physical fitness.
Yeah.
So there's so many times I've got hurt before, I just kind of brushed it off, moved on. Now you're paying the price because your body slowly breaks down. So now you feel like 40 years old when you're only 30.
So you think that's true, huh?
I think 100% is true. I kept moving, kept even with the injuries I had. But the moment had my surgeries and I had to take some downtime actually to relax and recover, everything else kind of started creeping in again. Like I found out this year recently that my whole spine is a piece of my spine is like kind of broken off, and my whole spine is like shifted forward 50%, up to 50%.
Mm.
So now causing a lot of back problems. Never really noticed it because I always been overcompensating. Like when your body gets sore, it overcompensates with the bigger muscle groups. So the moment you have time to relax, they stop working as hard, and now you start feeling the achiness and it gets worse over time.
Yeah, so as soon as you're done doing all the rucking and the marching and whatever army shit that you got going on, and you're just taking a knee, so to speak, that's when your body starts to ache and starts to feel a
Yeah,
certain way.
it's like helicopters. The more you fly in a helicopter, it breaks less. Even if you keep it flying every day, it doesn't break as often. But the moment it sits for a week, there's so many problems when you start it up.
Interesting.
We're like the same way.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you're talking about how your experience was. Do you think it would be harder or easier if you went through the VA system outside the army?
I think it would be harder. Only reason that even though I had my problems with the VA process now, but in the day though, it still was a foot in the door. Most people they have to start the VA after they retire. So even though my beginning wasn't the best, I still feel like it was nice where I had the foot in the door. I got started on things, and I'll just continue to fight when I get out. Instead
Yeah,
of somebody who has to do it when they get out, it takes more effort, more evidence. You will be longer in queue, pretty much, to be honest. But when you medboard and do the VA stuff, they put you in the front line of everything that needs to be done because there's a timeline to get you out of the military.
I know that a lot of retired vets they have a problem with like just doing the VA stuff,
Yeah.
and that can be kind of difficult. And it's probably just like you said, the system changes all the time, and sometimes when you think that you're prepared, it actually shoots you in the foot, literally, no pun
Oh yeah.
intended.
Like I've been like in the beginning, I thought like VA was all about symptoms, like the diagnosis and that. And now I'm like, it's actually not that. It's functionality first. So you have to lose range of motion first to even be considered a rating.
Hmm.
Now, like if you don't have a range of motion problem, you're not going to get the rating.
Interesting.
Now, if you once you get rated, then you can justify your reasons for increasements based on the severity of the problem, how it affects your daily life. But first, you have to lose motion. And that's what I've learned. Like my doctor, he looked at my because I walked. He's like, oh, he kind of has all his motions. He's good to go.
Hmm.
Even though we're trained to push past our pain, I know a lot of us honestly in our career, probably 50% of us have pain daily. We're just not going to say anything. But that's how we're trained. We just move past forward. If it's not that severe, we're not going to say it because A, we want to look weak, and half time, honestly, I think we want to acknowledge that we're hurting because we want to be tone struck people, or egos. That's something I'm dealing with right now. Is that as I'm getting out, I'm looking at jobs where I have a big field I can pick of different jobs I want to do, but I can't. Only because I need to be smart on picking the right physically limiting job. I can't be going to go to construction because it's going to make my back condition, my foot condition worse, just because I
Yeah.
got to get a paycheck. So you're kind of like stuck in that, like, you're prideful, you know you can do it. You're strong, but yet you don't want to do something that'll make it worse.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Actually, I don't know if you were there the other couple months ago, and it happens to me all the time. But I uh, I did a PT test at ACFT, and then the next day, or maybe it was the same day, like a couple hours later, and after I sat down because I sit at a desk most of the time, I sit down, and as I like just kind of shifted just like a little bit, I could feel my back buckle, and I was like, "Oh shit! I know what's about to happen because it happens all the time." So I stood up, and as I went to like move just like one step, I literally it my back gave out, and I went to my
Oh,
knees. Right. So uh, one of the guys that we work with saw that and was like, "You all right?" And basically, the thing that I do to try to like get rid of it is I kind of stretch it out as much as possible. But this time it just wasn't happening. So I told him, or he asked me, "Hey, you want me to hold you up or lift you up?" I said, "Sure." And even with his like assistant, my back, I couldn't put any pressure on my back and I couldn't stand up. So he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna grab my car. I'll meet you at my car." So I'm like, "All right." So I crawled literally on my hands and
Oh,
knees to get to his car because I could not stand up whatsoever. And I'm sure, like today, I was doing yard work, but tomorrow could be the opposite, and it's hard to almost like plead my case, like, "Hey, my back is actually really fucked up." But when I go into maybe a VA, maybe it's a good day.
well, I think the best tip with that would be is that what I've learned is that go to the VA still, present your case. But one thing that's going to strengthen your case is that don't go to the VA or put in a claim without any imaging. I've learned that if you have MRIs done, X-rays, they can't say no when the evidence is there. So one thing I've been recommending to everybody who's in the process of med boarding or honestly even ETS and transitioning, is start getting imaging done. Because the moment you file for the claim, you attach that image. Now it's not just your word anymore. You have visual evidence.
Mm.
Because if you try to do imaging with them, it will take longer. Because there's a lot of us who retire. We're trying to get through the system, trying to get imaging done. So the length of time for you're going to wait so much longer than you're doing it now. And honestly, you'd be kind of surprised what you learn. I've
Yeah.
learned, like my last few imaging I've done, I've learned so many other problems I have I didn't even realize. That now kind of makes sense because I've been having symptoms.
Mm.
So I'm like, okay, this is what's actually been going on.
So you're going for one thing. They take some photos or MRI, and they're like, "Hey, this other thing's messed up. Did you know that?" And you're like, "No," but now that explains why this other stuff is happening.
Yeah, for example, my back. For a year, I thought it was my nerve damage due to a nerve block from my surgery. I did a nerve study, and my foot was like screaming. It was 10 out of 10 pain. And the lady's like, hey, I want you to get an MRI done. She's like, I feel like it's something to do with your back. I'm like, I don't see how that would make sense, but okay, cool. I'll get it done. Go get my MRI done. And that's when they're like, hey, yeah, your spine is misaligned. It's like the lowest disc, you slipped on it. You can't revert it back. You just have to do stuff to avoid from making it worse. You have to get a surgery late in life. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense now. Didn't know that because the whole time for a whole year, me having low back pain, butt cheek pain, leg pain, because I have permanent leg numbness now. I thought it was all just to do a nerve block shot.
Hmm.
To find out when I got the imaging done, that was a whole different case. That my lower back, I have severe narrowing where it's pinching both of my legs, like the
Interesting.
nerve lines that go to my legs.
Yeah. Damn.
Didn't know until I got the imaging done.
Yeah. That's wild how it all kind of connects, and you just don't know until you know.
Yeah, and that's why I recommend everybody get imaging
It makes sense.
because it will help you out. Like I even took 13 years of my medical history. I put them in categories per claim. So the moment I have to resubmit new claims or I need to strengthen my claim, I already have files already in orders. Like I say for back, anything that relates to my back is in that file. The moment I get out and I should file a new claim, I just copy and paste instantly. So that way you save so much time, and it kind of helps you also prep before you get out. So that makes the VA transitioning part much easier.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. I think that's probably pretty solid advice,
It's the
honestly.
preparation.
Yeah, preparation's key, and that's what all the vets tell us anyway. Is that like, hey, make sure while you're in, you're always getting everything documented. If something hurts, something
Yep.
gets injured, don't tough guy that thing out. Just go ahead and go see whoever you're gonna
And
see.
one thing they don't tell you is that you actually can do is you can get your notes edited.
Hmm.
So let's say if you go to your PCM, your doctor, like perfect example, though, I had to go to emergency room for my back, just because just like you, I went to the gym last spring. I sat down. That's what I did. I sat down and leaned forward, and and my back was done.
Oh
I
yeah,
had like 10 out of 10 pain. I still kind of pushed through it, but then for 2 straight weeks it was like that.
yeah.
I went to the emergency room because I just couldn't drive. It was hard to walk. I told them, I have numbness. I'm peeing more than I should be. I told them how bad my pain is. I get the note later saying the soldier did not state numbness, did not state
Oh really?
this. Yeah.
Damn.
And you call them up, you send a message, hey, there's a mistake in this note. I didn't mention this, and they will fix it.
Huh.
Because one thing the VA will rely on is the wording.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure your notes are accurate. Because sadly, military doctors, they just put in notes like we talk, but these should be translating to civilian medical terms better.